Thanks for joining us, Simon.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Have you recovered from the gig the other night?
Yeah, well, it's always a process of a few days' time, and then everything's back to normal once the whistling's disappeared from the ears, yeah.
But that wasn't just an average gig, though, was it?
No, it was...
Mason Hill headlining hometown show with massive wagons of support.
It was... you couldn't even feel the gravity of the place. It was just amazing.
I can imagine. Was there a opening band before that, or was it just them two?
No, we had massive wagons first, and then...
How long did massive wagons play
45, 50 minutes, and then we had Mason Hill for, I think it was just over an hour.
Nice.
Absolutely superb.
Those are two bands.
But kind of, like, obviously, Massive Wagons are a bit more established, obviously, now.
Yeah.
But if you look at Mason Hill, to have an EP out and then to have a crowd like that, like one of the guys was talking a little bit earlier today and said there's only a couple of artists recently that have sold out the place.
Wow.
I think one of those was Anthrax. So, I mean, if you kind of think of that, then it's pretty amazing to say the least.
Anyone listening to this, go and check out Mason Hill right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pause this podcast, go and check them out, and then come back.
I mean, we obviously both saw them at Rockmantic.
Yeah, they were.
But the other night in Glasgow, it was just a different level again.
It's a hometown show, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's that extra sort of magic to it.
And for that little bit of extra as well, we had Chris Glenn turned up from MSG and Sensational Alex Harvey Band. Right. Did a song with them towards the end of the set as well. So
cool.
Again,
what song did they do?
Kudos.
One of their songs, or
no? It was one of the Alex Harvey Band's songs.
Right.
So, yeah,
cool,
incredible. So the atmosphere was electric.
To sell that out, I think was it 400 or something?
It was around about 400 capacity. Yeah.
Because not many bands do that these days. Not at this level, do they?
Not at all. I mean, we were in a couple of the bars before the show, and literally you'd have thought there were several gigs going on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way it felt in Glasgow. But that's kind of everybody was descending on the same place.
It's incredible.
So yeah, it was chilly outside, but red hot inside.
Yeah.
So.
I bet the venue would be chuffed about gigs like that.
Most definitely. Yeah, and you kind of, if you'd have watched the Wagons, you'd have thought, really, how do you
follow that? Yeah.
They're one of those
there
kinds
aren't many
of
bands that could.
No, absolutely not. But to the credit, Mason Hill did the job good and proper.
Yeah, they've got it all, really, haven't they?
They do, most definitely.
And they've acquired it very fast.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know the backgrounds of them all. I don't know if they've been...
No,
how old are they all? They're quite young.
Youngish guys, to be honest with you.
Like 20s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Scott originally was doing some stuff solo, wasn't he, before he started doing that stuff. But
it seemed to come from nowhere. Just
amazing. Yeah. You know, you hear whispers, obviously, because we're both connected with a lot of people through the industry. It's like you keep hearing whispers about people to go and check out.
Yeah.
And that was coming from quite a lot of different sources and a lot of different backgrounds as well. So you kind of think, really, it is something special.
Makes you pay attention, doesn't it? You think,
does.
Let's go and check these guys out. I keep hearing about them.
Most definitely.
And we had that with Massive Wagons as well.
Yeah.
Our first gig outside of Penrith was in Preston with Massive Wagons.
Yeah.
But I'd heard of them, but we didn't know anything about them.
Mm-hmm.
And, we'd been going about 6 months. I think it was like our 6th gig. And we thought we were good. And then they played. And we were just like, oh.
Well, I'd heard of them for a little while before I saw them down at Bootleggers in Kendal.
Yeah.
And much the same thing.
Yeah.
It was quite a smallish crowd, but you just got that impression that they were definitely going to be heading in the right direction, if you like.
Yeah, we just kick up the ass for us, really. But you need that, I think.
Yeah,
you don't
definitely.
You don't want to get complacent.
No. And kind of when it comes from nowhere, you think, well, the calibre of people isn't going to be any different to yourself. But
and the longer you go and you play better venues, you end up playing with better bands, and it's
absolutely
always a good thing.
Yeah. You can tell those guys are really hungry for it as well.
Oh,
so
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
They always put on exactly the same show.
Yeah.
Like, performance-wise, they just... No matter where they're playing or how many people they're playing to.
I mean, the way that they did it the other night was extra special, obviously, but they kind of paced the show like you would pace a much bigger venue, if you like. So there was a little acoustic set in the middle of the whole thing. There was a couple of ballads thrown in there. There was a few new songs which sounded really promising going forward. Hill? Yeah.
All right, cool.
And then you have obviously had that special guest slot, which went down really well. Just superb. So they finished the show with Where I Belong. You can imagine that for, there was...
The ballad.
Most definitely.
Well,
heavy ballad, let's put it that way.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. There'll be a lot of anticipation for their first album, won't there?
Yeah, for sure. And you can hear a lot of the influences in there that they've got, but by the same token, they've made it their own.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And the fact that they're such nice young guys as well to go with it. There's not the ego that's linked with a lot of this kind of stuff.
To be honest, I don't think you can get too far if you're not nice.
No.
If you're a bunch of assholes, people don't want to work with you.
No.
So it's kind of part of your overall. You can be the best band in the world, but if no one's going to want to work with you, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot.
Like as long as I've been watching music and going out to these gigs, though, like back in the day, you maybe didn't do so many shows. It was a bit more of an event rather than like a regular weekly, monthly kind of thing. And you had those people on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So, and by that same token, I think the egos were more inflated back there.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, I think you're finding people a lot more approachable.
Because people realise you have to be.
Yeah.
You can't be. And there's so many bands now. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you was because we've only had like other musicians on. So I would consider you like from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
People that goes to a lot of gigs.
Yeah.
I don't think not many people go to as many gigs as you do. But
but you get comments like that. But by the same token, I know a lot of people in my circle of friends that do a whole lot more shows than I do.
Bands need more people like you.
They do.
The whole community of people that you're always at various. Because every time you go to a different town, you always know loads of people just because you go to the gigs.
Well, I think like obviously we're talking about way in the past. When I used to go to gigs back in the 80s, when you first start going out, it's like kind of you go with your own little circle, your nucleus of friends.
Yeah.
So there's maybe 2 or 3 of you. So if not everybody else wants to go to that show, suddenly it doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's
because
it.
You're there on your own.
And there's no social media.
And I wouldn't have been as comfortable back then going on my own, whereas nowadays it's like, well, it's never a problem that, and I always feel like I'm in a room full of friends.
Yeah, no, I think social media obviously helps with that because that's how you keep. After you meet someone at a gig, that's how you keep in touch with them. Whereas before, you might meet someone at a gig and then you never see them again.
Yeah, well, like I was at a show over in Newcastle about 10 days ago, and it was a guy from Texas called Ryan Hamilton.
Oh yeah, I know him. Yeah.
Now Ryan's been around for years. He was involved with the guys from Bowling for Soup as well as a band called Smile Smile. Now he's doing his own solo thing. And I actually got to see him last year when he was supporting Ginger Wild Heart at a show at Trillions in Newcastle. Never heard of the guy until a couple of weeks before the show, until they announced who was going to be playing. And it's like, right, I need to check out these people because I don't like going to any gig where I'm not prepared to enjoy
you don't
at
go
least
blind,
something of everybody.
Yeah.
And the guy just absolutely blew me away. It was incredible. It's so like melodic. The music's just great. Yeah. So got me linked right in, and I've heard all of the music now. And we walked through the door. Yeah, well, it was only a really small venue at Newcastle because he decided to book like an acoustic tour.
Yeah.
But to pick more individual venues. So it was a little cabaret bar over the bridge in Gateshead.
Right.
Only for about 40 or 50 people. Which was like the tone of the whole thing most of the way
small,
through the
more
tour.
Intimate ones,
Yeah, until they got to London a couple of nights ago where he played a much bigger show.
Yeah.
But when we walked through the door, he's like, we were having a conversation instantly, and he's like, it's not very often you can come into a venue and you can welcome people through the door and almost know everybody by the first name.
Yeah. It kind of sets the
How
tone.
the world shrunk in a lot of ways.
It sets the tone before the whole, relaxes you and just...
Most definitely.
Yeah. Because you obviously... Do you go to many like stadium shows these days?
Not nearly as many as I used to.
No, exactly.
But then I used to go to less shows and more stadium shows.
Yeah.
And now I go to way more shows, but the venues are far, far different.
I think that there's more smaller shows now than there ever was. I think there's more bands. I
have to be honest though. I mean, I think like obviously. Like looking at the last one I went to would have been Alter Bridge at the Hydro.
Yeah.
And as great as the bands were on that lineup, you had them, you had Gojira, you had like a Storm, you had Volbeat.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb bands, but for me, it doesn't translate the same when you go to a stadium show.
How far back
anymore.
were you?
We were quite close. We were in maybe sort of 30 or so metres or so, which in the Hydro is quite close, but it just didn't have that same kind of pull and that same kind of atmosphere. It's a spectacle.
Yeah.
And it's something you look back on and maybe eventually get something more from, but I get more from the smaller venues where you can see the whites of people's eyes when they're playing.
I think more people need to sort of come around to that thinking.
Yeah.
Too many people only come out for those massive shows, don't they?
Yeah.
And they've stopped thinking, or they're just a different generation now where they don't think to even see what's going on at the venues near them to see, there might be some bands. They just, I think they have, unless they see them in TV or in a magazine or hear them on the radio, then they're no good.
Yes. That's people. I think maybe that's at times a younger perspective, because that would have been possibly my perspective way back as well.
Yeah.
It's all about just your sense of where people are in the industry as well.
Yeah.
Like when we were buying Kerrang when we were kids, it was a far different kind of game than it is now.
Yeah, I often think saying to those people, what would you do if those bands were gone?
Yeah.
What would you do? Where would you go for your music? You'd have to kind of force them to sort of go, right, let's go to the smaller venues now and see what's there.
Yeah.
And I think that most of them would be pleasantly surprised by the quality of the bands that are there.
I think you're right, indeed. Like I don't see a great deal of difference in transition between the bands that I see in smaller places and the ones that you see in arenas now.
Well, like the one like Mason Hill and Massive Wagons.
Yeah, definitely.
I could see easily both of those bands translate to like fast forward 5 years and you're going to see them at an arena or...
Yeah, I mean, definitely, they were talking about the other night, they're setting up shows, obviously, that are similar-sized venues for later on this year, but you could see them easily filling an academy-sized venue. If you're looking up to around about 1,000 people at least, I think that'd be a given.
And I think at this level, doing that it's a massive achievement.
It is.
Because not many bands get to do that.
No.
And I often find that like those will be the bands that will eventually get approached by major labels.
Yeah.
Major labels don't do a lot these days. They wait for the bands to do all the work till they come on their radar. They go, all right, this band's doing well. Let's approach them. And it used to be the way. You don't have A&R guys going to gigs looking for the next big thing. It just doesn't happen because they don't want to take any risks anymore, do they?
I think when you look at a lot of labels now as well, it's a lot more grassrootsy than it used to be as well.
Yeah, like a lot of them independents are doing quite well in that, but the majors just don't. They're not bothered unless they somehow come on their radar through hard work of their own. Then they're not going to seek them out, are they?
I think that's where the division is now. Most definitely. If you look across like other genres as well, you don't see that same level of them and us.
And I don't think bands hold those major labels in such high regard anymore either.
No,
I think like you can realise that you can do a lot on your own.
Of course you can,
or with a little bit of management or a booking agent. You can do quite a lot, and you can. I
think people powers are quite a big thing now.
Yeah.
If you can get the right people talking about it, then instantly the word spreads, doesn't it?
Yeah, plus it's getting the right people to work with you as well. You don't you don't just want to have a manager just for the sake of having a manager. It's got to be someone who actually cares about you or is doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so, it should not be sort of money motivated, if you like.
And obviously, money's tight these days, so you don't want to be having to give out too much of your money to somebody else for things that you could do yourself.
A lot of the bands that we go and watch now as well, a lot of those guys don't just have that as a profession either. It's not all about that actually supports them.
Even some of the bigger, medium-sized bands, a lot of them have. They'll do touring for a few months, but then they'll go back to some kind of job in the meantime. Yeah,
most definitely.
And that would have never happened 20 odd years ago, 30 years ago.
No, I know a few guys from out in America, obviously, that. Same thing. They've got several other careers as well as doing what they do.
Just got to do. You've
but
just
if it's vocational and you enjoy doing it,
that's it. Yeah,
it's not a bad thing.
But what was your first ever gig that you can remember?
Well, I can remember them all. The first gig I went to was at Edinburgh Playhouse, and it was either 85 or 86. I think it would have been the early part of 85.
How old have you been?
I was born in 68, so there you go.
Oh, right.
So 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
It was Magnum, and it was the Storytellers Night Tour.
Right.
So that was my first gig.
Wow.
And they had a band
supporting. That's a long way to go for your first gig.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I had family up in Edinburgh.
Local would have been.
Yeah.
Test the water, or
the thing is, though, my parents didn't like the idea of me going to the local ones because the Market Hall was still on the go at the time at Carlisle.
Right, yeah.
And they were still attracting some pretty big bands. You had the likes of Gillan playing there. You had DC playing there a few years before that. Thin Lizzy, they played.
Yeah, did Ozzy play there? Some part of Black Sabbath.
Black Sabbath played a lot of venues around Cumbria.
Yeah,
but I think that would have been going way back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think even Village Halls they ended up doing. Yeah. Did they not play at Heskett?
Something like that, yeah.
I think when they were called Earth, they played at Heskett, yeah.
Something right, yeah. That's crazy to think that, isn't it?
It is, yeah, totally.
Things come up on social media of gigs that you think, that's not even there anymore.
I know, totally.
And it's just like... But bands, I think there was a lot less bands back then because it was more... It wasn't seen as like something that most people could do.
No.
Whereas now... If you can get good at guitar and you can meet the right people, you can form a band and you can play some gigs. But
it's kind of weird, with the Magnum thing. What got me into them was I liked the look of one of the album covers.
Yeah.
Because obviously where I work in town, we had Woolworths across the road, and Woolies happened to have this album.
Yeah, they used to sell records.
And it was Chase the Dragon by Magnum that I actually bought. The album cover was done by Rodney Matthews.
Right.
So if you're familiar with his work,
Not really.
he did a lot of work for, the likes of the new wave of British heavy metal.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He had like Praying Mantis. Did their covers. He did a lot of that stuff, and he did a lot of the Magnum covers at the time. So that's what actually got me into that. It was like, right, I like the look of that, and Chase the Dragon still happens to be one of my favourite albums.
Because that's only back then you didn't have many sort of things coming at you about bands. It was you see a magazine, or you'd see an album cover or a poster or something like that. Like that's like for Iron Maiden. I had Iron Maiden posters on my wall. I didn't even know they were.
Yeah,
when I was because
it was all about
13,
Eddie,
14. I was like, that's amazing. And then when you get the music, they put the imagery with the music. You're like, wow. You get to like Number of the Beast, and it's like, I'm getting this. I'm really getting it. But what helped with them was they had a consistent person doing all their stuff they went through all the. Like the logo stayed the same, but it might change colour go with the different artworks. It was really cool.
And to the credit, when they're still sort of reinventing themselves year in, year out, it's pretty good going.
Still doing it,
I wonder how much of it's actually driven by Derek Riggs, or how much of it's driven by, does he come up with the concept and then it gets thrown by the rest of the guys? Don't know.
I know Steve Harris is quite predominant in all that sort of stuff, doesn't he?
Most definitely.
He does the lyrics and the themes of the songs, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's got a dark mind, doesn't he?
He does, definitely. I wonder if he throws the ideas at Rodney, not Rodney, obviously Derek Riggs.
Yeah.
I wonder if he throws those ideas at him, and then through that, the concept's built.
Some bass player, like.
He is, most definitely.
Have you seen them a few times?
Yeah, I've seen Maiden a few times, Not for a few years now. I was a little bit disappointed the last time I went to see them. So
when was that?
It's sort of going back to the Dance of Death tour.
Oh, okay.
Whereas before that, seen them at the Donington appearances that they'd done. And,
disappointed in what way?
It just kind of moved in a different direction for me, and I didn't really like what they were doing as much. So I've not bothered as much with the music since,
Right, yeah. Well, you've sort of you've got your finger on the pulse on the new younger bands that are coming through.
Yeah.
So you don't pay as much attention to the majors anymore, do you?
I think the thing is, though, you can kind of, with music as it used to be, where you'd follow the big artists, it's kind of, that was there just to satisfy you, and that was fair enough. But they're not nearly as prolific in putting out material these days as they would have been back then.
Some bands aren't, are they?
No, as we're aware. Yeah, so if you were looking at them to sustain you and your interest in music, you'd really be struggling with some of them.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas, like a lot of the younger bands now, it's almost going back to that late 70s, early 80s mentality of it's an album, it's a tour, it's an album, it's a tour, and it's all very interesting.
Plus, when you think the difference these days is most of them will be working, so you've got to do all that. It's like constant.
Absolutely.
So how do you fit it in? It's like if someone has a kid, it's like a game changer, isn't it?
It's a major thing.
Some can get through, some can carry on with that if that happens, some can't. It's just like
that's a level of commitment, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's always a lot of bands split up all the time, isn't there? Every week there's a couple of bands that you just think, boom, didn't think they would go, bang, there's another one, bang.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, that just shows you what it's like, isn't it? Some bands you wouldn't expect.
Definitely it's changed a lot.
For various reasons, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So who was the first like rock sort of bands that you got into? Oh, you always into that kind of music, or was it first? Was it?
You know what? I think it's like I've grown up with a love of music around me, so most definitely. But like my parents didn't really listen to the stuff that I listened to.
What did they listen to? Though?
They were more like your sort of your Neil Diamonds, your Carpenters, your Abbas, your this, that, the other.
So that's like your introduction to music in general, though. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, probably through like my dad's love of like the Beatles and that kind of stuff. That kind of got me into that kind of music, which I'll always still listen to, even though you've got your own taste.
Yeah.
But then I think, like if you look back through the 70s when I was like going out with Dad in the car, he would have 8 tracks on in the car.
Yeah.
So and the 8 tracks would range everywhere from ABBA through to like Pink Floyd, through to Core, that kind of stuff. So that's probably, my early tastes were probably really heavily influenced by that kind of stuff. The first album I remember buying would have been around about 78, 79.
Right.
Like buying if you were looking at sort of rock music. I was buying that Purple product around back then.
Okay.
And I remember buying the Core Live album. I think that would have been about 80, 81, which was a pretty special record. Yeah. But that's kind of where my early taste sort of started. Yeah. But then obviously...
Sounds cut out. I can't hear anything. Yeah, we're back. It was probably recording, but it's cut out. Did it cut out for you as well?
No, I was all right. Got it,
yeah. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Carry on.
That's all right. So yeah, 81. So that's when you really started to like get into the music then.
Most definitely. And I think obviously we had the new wave of British heavy metal around that point as well.
Early 80s, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a whole brand new thing,
wasn't it? We had Kerrang starting, where Sounds was obviously leading the way. So I was reading Sounds, I was reading NME and all of those things, Melody Maker.
Remember Raw?
Yeah, I remember Raw. I've still got my first few copies, yeah.
Wow, I used to get Raw and Kerrang were the two.
Yeah.
I think Raw was less frequent than Kerrang. Kerrang was every week, Raw was every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks.
So when I started buying Kerrang, it was still monthly, so it's like,
That was, I mean, my friends every week just buying those magazines, and it was like, that literally, there was no internet, so it's like, that was the only way you got to find out what bands were doing.
I remember picking up Metal Hammer when that had just made its transition from like a European magazine through to a global kind of thing, and that was great back in the day as well.
Yeah, there's loads of magazines now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Power Play, and you've got loads of prog magazines.
Yeah.
But I wonder how long they're going to survive, magazines, because I'm sure the readership must be going down because everything goes digital.
Yeah, and everything's gotten a whole lot more expensive if you look at some of those as well now. I mean,
I
buy classic rock every month, and I find that a really good read. But
how much is it?
I think that's around about a £5 or so, something like that. Whereas the likes of your prog magazines and that, you're looking at sort of £8 to £10 at a go.
Yeah,
it's not cheap. No. But like you say, because everything's gone digital now, it's all quite convenient, isn't it?
Yeah,
I think I'm still from that old school where I still prefer to flip through a magazine.
I enjoy reading magazines. We've got a good interview with the band, but it's, in terms of like news,
yeah,
it's going to be old news straight away, isn't it?
It is. It's
not
already
going to tell you anything you don't already know.
No, that's the fact. Yeah,
but. Yeah, I do like magazines. I used to buy them a lot, but I don't buy any now, I don't think.
I think Raw was around, would that have been around 88? I've got a recollection of like an episode coming out for...
Yeah, it will have been, but when obviously it was in the 90s when I was at school, and that's when I was buying it.
Yeah. I wasn't even aware it hung around that long.
Yeah. Early 90s when I'd been getting it, Raw and Kerrang, when they were like the
I remember
them
doing a special when Maiden did Dighton for the first time, so that would have been, I think it would have been 88.
Yeah. It was a big player at the time, then it just disappeared.
Oh yeah,
I don't know what happened there, but because it couldn't have been for like internet reasons back then.
No,
why it would
definitely not.
I don't know what happened, but maybe too much competition, I suppose. For the
magazines, and literally they were your only source of finding out where bands were going to be playing or anything else. Yeah,
it's strange to think, isn't it? How you'd have to sort of TV was the same. Yeah. There was no on demand, so if you wanted to watch something, you had to be in when it was on.
Oh yeah,
you had to like organise your life around it. Whereas that's just outdated now, isn't it? You just record everything.
Set your video recording.
Yeah, just watch it whenever, or just get it on your tablet, or watch it later whenever you want on demand.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy, but music's like that as well now, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you want, however you want. But are you a vinyl guy?
Bit of both, really. Yeah, I've just kind of got back into vinyl. I did get rid of a lot of it way back.
I bet you wish you hadn't.
And definitely.
I bet you had some gems that you got rid of.
Yeah, I still kept quite a few of those.
Yeah,
I did. But I'm adding to it again now. I still love the vinyl.
Because that's one format that has never gone away.
No.
It kind of diminished, but it was always like a core people. But it seems to be coming back a bit now.
It seems to be on
a lot more bands are putting stuff out on vinyl.
Yeah.
Because there is that certain sound quality to it that you just can't replicate any other way.
There's kind of something aesthetic about holding...
Well, the physical product, isn't it? Like CDs
the fact that you can actually read the lyrics on an album sheet as well.
CDs are nice and compact and all that stuff, but to get like a massive, you just open it up.
There's a convenience with them
as well.
There, yeah. I mean, MP3s are great, sound sticks are good, this, that, the other, but you still can't beat something that you can actually hold and look at.
Somebody was saying the other day, like, you're never going to get someone going, oh, that's that 2012 re-release MP3 that we put out. You're not going to get it. It's never going to.
It's just not the same. Yeah.
An MP3 is an MP3, and the sound quality, although. Some people hate MP3s. I don't mind them. I listen to most music that way, but there is that sort of just something about vinyl that just can't be replicated.
No, that extra sort of pop and whistle that you'll get.
A bit of warmth to it as well.
Is amazing.
And also, a lot of bands just record in Pro Tools now all the time, and there's no tape or there's no analog anymore. It's all digital.
A lot of the problem is as well, there's a lot of compression now that there wasn't back in the day as well.
Yeah, there's that as well. So things are too perfect. Like, people take out all the mistakes, and you should leave some of them in just to show that it's real.
Definitely.
Like, we always try to do like real guitar takes. Don't cut and paste anything.
No.
If you did it wrong, do it again. That's how they used to do it.
Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with keeping it a little bit old school.
Exactly. Yeah. It comes across, and people like that. People like to feel that it's real, and it's not like all processed and cut and paste, and like some of the big bands do that these days as well.
I think kind of initially it's you want to hear it perfect, but after a little while it's kind of nice to hear a bit of humanity towards it.
It can be too perfect, can't it? It can. Takes a lot of the character out of it, I think. And a lot of bands just... And it's easier to do it that way. It's quicker, but doesn't mean it's going to be better.
Like you say, with all of the formats out there now that they can actually just replicate and duplicate, etc., it's easy to thicken up a sound or whatever, but is it going to be something that you can replicate again? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
So then it becomes a point of, if you take that into the live format, do you then use tapes to replicate some of that stuff?
Yeah,
there's a lot of that goes on nowadays. So
yeah, but a lot of bands, you have to be able to do live what you do on the record to some degree. You can't go overboard on the CD, because if you can't do it live, then people are going to be like, this sounds a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
But vice versa as well. You could have the best sounding album, but if you can't do it live,
no, there's just no point.
It's people judge you. That's like your overall sort of viewpoint. They can either see you live and think you're amazing, and then you could have a terrible recording. As well. So
it's kind of funny though. Like back when I started following music, you would see odd artists that didn't necessarily replicate all the things that you wanted them to.
Yeah.
So occasionally there'd be the odd gig that you'd walk away scratching your head with. Whereas nowadays I find a lot more of those bands fulfill everything that I want them to when I go and see them. Yeah. Rarely see a bad gig, to be honest with you.
Well, that's good, isn't it? You're obviously going to the right gigs.
Yeah. But or maybe just not enough,
No, you definitely got to enough gigs. I was going to ask you, did you have that list of roughly how many gigs you've been to in the last couple of years?
Oh, God. Well, I range from anywhere between about 35 and 40 through to about 50 gigs a year. So you're kind of looking at 80 to 100 bands a year most of the time.
When you consider you've got a full-time job, a wife and a kid, that's a serious undertaking, that.
It is. Yeah.
You must have a very understanding wife.
It's my absolute hobby. Yeah. You know, obviously I play guitar, and there was a point in time where it was like, you wanted to do the band thing or whatever, but I think for me now I still play, but I'm quite happy to just play at home and just enjoy what I do, but at the same time I still get to follow my hobby as well, so it's kind of a little bit of compromise for it, in a good way, I think.
It's so much spare time and money on just gig tickets and band merchandise and travel. And
the thing is as well, though, when you look at it now, not every gig necessarily doesn't cost you sort of 50, 60, 70 quid.
Yeah.
A lot of those shows by comparison now are quite cheap shows. If not, occasionally you get the odd free ones as well.
Well, how much was the ticket for the Mason Hill?
It's £8. You
can't argue with that.
So like
two bands like that in a sold out,
absolute bargain.
A great venue.
It is. But then you could see, artists, in and around Cumbria that'll play to a half-empty room for nothing. That's the way that it is now, unfortunately. And audience can be a little bit fickle.
A lot of it depends when you're playing, where you're playing, who you're playing with. There's lots of factors. But it's just to see something like that. Still, bands are thriving. Because a lot of people just say, "Oh, the music's dead," because it's just easy to say that, but. I don't think it is.
No, I think
people who say that aren't the ones going to the gigs.
Well, actually, you're right. Yeah, you could say that. I think they're not going to enough shows.
Well, they're going to the wrong shows.
Yeah.
Then, like some of those people might be the ones who are thinking they're the ones who only go to the big shows.
Yeah.
And those big bands are dying out now, so they might think there's nothing else.
We've seen it over the last 12 months, especially. How many of those
farewell
stars,
tours.
Yeah. But how many stars have actually passed by? You had Rick Parfitt a few months ago.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we were only having a conversation the night before he died about the fact that they might end up having one final fling at somewhere in the country and actually finishing it off how it started.
Yeah.
There goes that one.
Yeah. Very sad.
It is.
But it's life, isn't it?
It is.
That's why you should appreciate bands when they're here.
I think at the end of the day, if we don't nurture the new talent now, we'll have nothing to sustain our
once those top end have gone, there'll be nothing to sort of come in after it. Do you know what I mean? People, like we were saying before, people need to sort of realise that and sort of...
Yeah.
Even going to, instead of going to stadiums, go to academies at least.
Yeah. And then if a show's for free, go and pick something up on your way out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, do something for those bands as well.
Well, I say on stage all the time, not just about us, but any bands. If you want to support them, that's the best way you can support them.
I've actually got to the point now where, there are some artists that I go and say they'll release an album before they do that tour or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll actually occasionally wait and I'll just pick that product up at the gig now.
Because more of that money's going direct.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
it's quite a difference, and it feels a lot more satisfying that somehow.
Well, I do that too. Like if we're playing with certain bands, I know they've got an album out, but I'll wait till that gig, then I'll say, I'll because I'm giving it to one of them. I'm shaking their hand. I'm saying, "Here, take my money. Shut up."
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, and they appreciate that.
Yeah.
More people should do that.
Let's make it happen.
But but it's just changing people's attitudes, I suppose, to realizing how. I think people do have a low opinion of like anything that's not in a big venue.
Yeah.
It's like what
perception's a kind of funny thing, isn't it? It's like see it, and they'll talk about big artists just saying, it's like, yeah, that's music. Well, not necessarily. You don't see all the stuff that goes on behind that either.
That's it. Well, this is the thing with the MP3s as well.
Yeah,
it's just a download. There's no, you've got no idea what went into it.
No.
You're not seeing. You might see a little icon on iTunes, but to see the full artwork and to read the lyrics or read where it was recorded, when bands put liner notes and all that sort of stuff. I love all that stuff.
But that's something that we still will never lose. That, will we?
No,
most definitely not. That's kind of where I started out, and I'm still there now.
Yeah. I just hope that album side of it never goes away, because a lot of bands now sometimes just put a song out without an EP or an album. Yeah. And then the next year they'll put an EP out. It's like, I hope we don't lose that kind of, people don't think of their music as a body of work. They just think, oh, we've done that song, let's put it out. Yeah. Because it doesn't mean as much, I don't think, a song on its own.
It doesn't feel the same, does it? No. It's kind of drip feeding any kind of audience just isn't the way to go necessarily.
Yeah, I think some bands put a song out to justify doing 10 dates.
Yeah.
Whereas you could just do 10 dates, be fine. Wait, and then put your album out when it's ready.
Problem.
Yeah. People, I think most people would rather wait for that when it's done, rather than just, we've got a song, let's put it out.
Yeah.
I know. I don't know about you, but I feel that strongly.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it a few years ago with the likes of Metallica, which we've got a mutual love of from back in the day.
Not as much as anymore, though.
No, it's kind of funny that, isn't it? Cause,
It used to be just they like the only band for me, but they just did annoy me with their lack of productivity.
Yeah.
Like 8 years between Death Magnetic and the last one.
I kind of remember being criticised for having an opinion about that, but it was like, you can't just satisfy people by doing one date in a country.
No.
And then letting them forget about you again for another 12 months until you pull up at the next festival and so on and so forth. And
or just living off the fact that you've got die-hard fans all over the world, so you can survive. Yeah. You don't have to you don't have to do anything.
That's the difference between the divisions in the music that we listen to, though, isn't it? And it's kind of, for them, they don't necessarily need to. They could go out and do a tour anytime on the back of no product or new product. And still have the fans, and it wouldn't make any difference. So it obviously generates a great deal of revenue for them.
Oh, whatever they do. Yeah. But I think they're sort of a victim of their own success, really, whereas they've bought the back catalogue, they own the rights to their own music, they are their own record label, so they've got no pressure on them to do anything. I think that's bad.
Well, I don't necessarily think they've been making all the right moves either.
No, but they've got no one telling them what to do. There's no one saying, oh, we need an album by here, you need to do this, you need to do that. I think to some degree, bands need that. Too much freedom is a bad thing, because you end up doing festivals and movies and
totally,
not doing the thing that made you famous in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the gaps between them are what's making the product not as good either. Mm-hmm. I don't know, just my opinion, but
yeah. No, just creatively, it sounds like it's dried up a whole lot over the last few years.
To be fair, there's 2 or 3 songs on the new album I really like.
Yeah,
but the rest of it's a bit I'm not that bothered. But I just think if they were a bit more productive and they kept going, and like say in another couple of years or next year they put out another album, would they just keep that creativity going? Whereas if they leave too far gaps, they kind of lose the momentum, and then it kind of
think, if you look back to when it kind of all started to change around the time that they did Load and Reload, and then they obviously came out with Saint Anger.
Yeah, which I don't hate as much as most people do.
No. There are good elements in that album, but I just feel
that album made a lot more sense after I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I got it a lot more, but I know what you mean.
Yeah, it was a therapeutic thing, obviously.
Yeah. Not a lot of bands would have done that.
But no, I think creatively, though, even though they were maybe not making the right choices from a fan's perspective, they were certainly prolific in putting out new product at that point in time.
One thing you can't accuse them of is being repetitive, or they've always been trying new stuff. Not a lot. Some people not liked what they've been trying, but I think if they'd just done Master of Puppets or Red Light over and over again, I don't think they'd be here anymore.
No,
and they would have just got bored.
Yeah, so that's kind of where I liked where they were going with Load and Reload.
Yeah, I didn't
because
mind
that was a good transition between what they put out on record and we were seeing the live shows.
Yeah.
There was a real element of it was just really good. It was quite exciting at the time because it was a little bit different for them, but by the same token, it was still them.
Yeah, yeah. But you saw them back in the day.
Well, I kind of obviously saw them, 87, so it was around the time just before, it was just when Newstead had started.
Yeah,
but then
was probably
for
the
me,
time.
They were very, very lean and...
That was on top of the world then, I think.
Yeah.
Not many bands could touch them, if any. Just...
No, absolutely not. I would agree with you. And that's kind of what got me totally hooked when I was watching them.
Yeah. Just something about them. You just couldn't take your eyes off them.
I mean, I've seen them in everything from, like your Doningtons and your Milton Keynes Balls. As far
when they had
down
something to prove.
They did.
That's when they were at their best, when they had something to prove.
But then I saw them at the launch of Reload. Which was the Ministry of Sound in London.
I remember that.
So that was, about 500 capacity?
Yeah.
And that was just the most incredible atmosphere.
Yeah, I bet it was.
I mean, you have like special gigs in your life. And however you might fall in and out of love with Metallica, that will always be special to me.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of live off their back catalogue, don't they?
They do.
Their legacy.
Yeah.
A little bit too much. But that comes from not doing anything.
It does.
So, kind of shot themselves in the foot, but... I don't know how long they'll be going. They're one of those bands like Iron Maiden. You don't know how long's left.
You really don't.
The meter's running low, isn't it?
It is, definitely. Yeah.
Because I heard AC/DC are probably going to do another... was it either a tour or an album with Axl?
Yeah, there's a rumour that Axl's going to do an album.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
From my perspective, no. But then I'm not the biggest lover of his previous...
Oh, you don't like Guns N' Roses?
Not really overly keen, no. I only ever saw them the once, and that was Donington in '88. And they didn't make the impression that possibly they should have done.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Okay.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of all right music.
What about recorded album-wise? Do you like songs?
Yeah, a few of the albums
like
are
Appetite,
all right.
Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah, Appetite was a great album.
Yeah.
It really was, and I don't think they realised at that point in time how big a deal it was, if you like.
But a lot of that band's problem comes from the singer.
Yeah, most definitely.
He's been a bit of a knobhead.
Yeah.
But he was always like that from the beginning, but it just got worse as the band got bigger.
It was unfortunate that really wrecked his reputation, didn't it?
It's all of it comes from him, really. The whole the rest of the band. Like I remember Slash's autobiography. Have you read Slash's autobiography?
I haven't. No.
It's a good read. When they did that co-headline tour with Metallica, the summer of '92.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, Metallica made the smart decision to say we'll go first every night.
Oh yeah.
Because they know they'll get on time, do what they've got to do, and be out there.
Yeah.
And Guns N' Roses can take 4 hours if they want. It's fine.
And pretty much that's what they did. Yeah.
But I remember Slash was so embarrassed because he's like, I couldn't look Hetfield in the eye because we were just a shambles. We were just all over the place every night. It was like 2 hours late, 3 hours late. It's just like
egos had seriously got in the way, hadn't they?
He's just so in his own world.
Yeah,
I think he seemed to show more respect in the AC/DC thing. Mm-hmm. Like he was always on time.
Well, from what
obviously
I
he's
understand,
older now, so
the people that I know that actually went to the shows were pretty, if not very, impressed with what they saw.
The feedback was overall good.
Well and good.
But I think most people were like, it's okay as a one-off.
Yeah, but let's not call this AC/DC.
No, I think a lot of people said they should have just quit after Rock or Bust.
I've got good memories of that band, very, very much so. I've seen them a lot of times as well. DC, going back to again the sort of mid-late 80s, all the way through. We saw them on this final tour before Axl took over twice on that tour.
Right.
Phenomenal shows.
Have you seen them in any smaller venues?
Probably the smallest would have been like the Manchester Evening News.
Okay, right.
That would have probably been the smallest venue.
Right.
But then all the way up to like your Hampden Parks and your Doningtons. Yeah, some big shows.
They're a band that can make the most of the massive shows.
Most definitely.
You feel the energy at the back as you do at the front, I think.
You do.
Obviously, you spend not your time looking at screens, but
yeah,
the energy's still there, isn't it? The atmosphere.
Most definitely. Yeah, the crowd really does feel as well. Yeah,
and now, if you see any bands like that now, you're just thinking, this could be the last one.
Oh, yeah.
So you've kind of got to make the most of it. But you shouldn't be doing that all the time.
Like with the Hampden Park gig, the last time I saw them, did feel that was putting a lid on it almost.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't know what was going to happen with Brian at that point in time.
No.
Whether that comes around or not, I don't know. But it just doesn't feel right to me somehow.
Just the way it all went down just seems a bit...
Yeah, I think there's more to it. Knowing some of the people that I know and some of the conversations that I've had, I think, there's definitely more to that story than ever.
They blamed it purely on his hearing, didn't they?
They did.
I don't think... Because it comes from the monitors, the monitors, isn't it? Because they get so loud. Well, as everything gets loud, you're turning that up in your ears, but it's right in your ears, so you're just turning it up and up and up, and it's like how years of doing that just every night. It must be good. But I don't believe that's the reason why.
No,
he's no
it feels almost like a smoke screen.
I can't even guess why it would be, but
no.
But to see them back in the day with Bon Scott, that would have been something.
That would have been special. Yeah, I know a few people that saw him at the Market Hall, and that must have been.
Because he's just such a live wire.
He was.
I mean, I like Brian Johnson. I think of Brian Johnson that's the first thing I think of now, because he's been with them so long. But to see, he was just so.
Yeah, well, I mean, you show me an average album that Bon Scott
exactly
sang on. No, I don't think there ever was one.
Certain frontmen like him and like Dio. He just had that voice, that natural voice, a bit like Freddie Mercury.
Yes, the power was
just there, whatever the situation.
Yeah.
You see Queen?
Never got to see Queen. No, that's one of my biggest regrets, to be fair.
Did you ever have the chance and pass it up? Or?
Yeah, I did have the chance once and passed it up and then kicked my own backside for I'm still kicking my backside now, to be honest. And that would have been the Magic Tour.
Oh, right.
So it was a show that they
Live
did.
8?
Now then. Not
that was 85, Live 8.
Yeah, not actually
Live 8,
sure.
I should say.
It was a show that they did at Nebworth.
Right, it's maybe after that then. Because that Live 8 thing was just like...
it's phenomenal, wasn't it?
They showed that, was it 25 minutes they did or something?
Yeah.
You would think, if you watch any 5-minute or any song out of that, you'd think that was their headline show.
Oh, yeah.
You'd think every person in that arena was there to see them.
That's what Mercury had, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
It was.
That was the one where he was doing the repeat thing.
It was. And he'd probably been doing it for so many years before that.
Oh, well rehearsed,
but that was...
It's just very special.
Oh, God, yeah.
That was one of those few where that comes across in the video. You're watching the video and you can feel it, whereas sometimes you think, you could only got that if you were there, but just watching it just like makes your hair stand on it.
It does, it makes you tingle a little bit,
I remember seeing it... I wasn't at a gig. I was in a city somewhere, and they were showing it in like a rock bar or something like that on a big screen. And I was just sitting there. Well, there was like a few of us, and we just stopped talking. We were just like, wow, because it was on quite loud. Mm-hmm. It was like being there. It's just like, wow.
I remember watching it on TV when it actually went out, and I've got friends that were in that crowd, and
wow,
just amazing.
That's one of those gigs where that footage where they're thinking they're going to try and do that hologram thing.
Yeah,
I don't know if that would work or not, but it'd be interesting.
It's just another one of those things, isn't it? It's like, do you tamper with something that's so special that you just leave it be?
That's kind of what I felt about AC/DC.
Yeah,
I kind of wish they had quit at Rock or Bust and just let us remember them how we remember them.
That's how I felt about it.
You don't want to tarnish that legacy, that memory.
No, I mean, I guess the people that went to see Axl, they're fully intact with the memories and they love it.
Well, I guess if you already paid for your ticket and then that happens, if I had already paid £80 and then he leaves and then get Axl, I think, well, I might as well go out of interest. I've already paid, so if I sold a ticket, I'm never going to get another one.
No, this is true. Yeah.
So that would have been interesting. I mean, I saw a lot of stuff on YouTube, and he looked like he'd got his shit together. To be fair, and his vocals were good. He was on form.
I suppose at the end of the day, it was somebody else's gig as well. It wasn't necessarily his, so possibly he had.
It seems like it took that for him to get his shit together, though.
Oh, yeah,
couldn't even do it for his own band.
No.
Although this recent GNR reunion, they weren't late much. Like if they were, it was like 20 minutes. So.
Right. Yeah.
But for him, I guess that's a big thing.
Was it something that you were interested in having a look at or not, or you're not buying into the live shows in this country?
Nah, I can't justify. I can't afford the prices. To be honest, I can't afford to.
No.
Like £80 to go and see a band.
Yeah.
I know it's like a big band, but like we play with enough good bands that I see enough good bands.
Oh yeah.
And when bands come around here, I go and see them. Mm-hmm. And like that, have you ever been to the Metal to the Masses gigs?
No, not yet.
That's one of the best things I think Bloodstock have ever done.
Mm-hmm.
I think all big festivals should have some kind of stage that's just for underground bands.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that like Simon Hall,
goes
to all those. I think he goes to most of them, and like looks at the bands himself and says, "Yeah, I like that band. I like that band."
It's kind of like what Hard Rock Hell are doing as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Hard Rock Rising or whatever it's called? They have some kind of
Yeah.
I think people you need to do that because that's basically what we've been talking about, raising awareness of the next generation that are coming through.
You see some of those things are really well supported as well.
Yeah, like you've got a platform of a massive festival, put a stage of underground bands, so people become aware of these bands and see them just to see them on the poster. Even though you're down the bottom with like some of the big bands. Like, it all raises awareness, doesn't it?
Of course it does, yeah.
Like I remember when Colt 45 played Download, I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
and then you saw the footage of them playing in the tent, and it was just rammed.
And when you actually know the guys as well,
yeah,
it's like, no, that's kudos, isn't it?
Yeah, then I had him on the podcast, and it's just like, he's buzzing. One of those things to tick off your list.
Yeah.
But so do you go to many other festivals?
Haven't been over the last few. Well, I go to regular Hard Rock Hell festivals.
Yeah.
So we do that one regularly, but this year, obviously we were at Rockmantic, so we did that one.
Yeah.
I think that looks like it's going to be something that's going to be coming an
annual
take off,
thing. Yeah. I was talking to Raz after the gig.
Yeah.
I was saying it's becoming like a brand. Like people will buy the tickets for next year before the bands have been announced.
I picked up my ticket last week for next year, so it's like.
Well, it's all about knowing which bands to book, isn't it?
It is
consistently.
But I think you can almost run those festivals now based on the fact that you know that you're going to get good product, you're going to get those good bands, whatever happens. I mean, when we started going to Hard Rock Hell, there'd be at least half of the lineup that you didn't know. Maybe back in the day you wouldn't have listened to all those bands, but now we're much more open to change. We're open to, a whole different sort of sets up, if you like.
Yeah. So you're part of like a group. Have you got a name for your group, like the Hard Rock Hell kind of people?
No, I mean, there's a few sort of little sections around the country, isn't there? But it's just kind of what I would call family now, really.
Yeah,
so it's just,
it's like gig family, isn't it?
It is, pretty much, yeah.
And that's just kind of built up over the last sort of, well, is that like been cultivated since you've had the internet, like social media and stuff? Has that helped really sort of
I think it does
that?
Do, definitely. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the likes of Facebook, you could pretty much say goodbye to that if it wasn't for the fact of all the connections and kind of that mutual love of music that we've all got.
It's very useful for that. For keeping people together, organising events, and like I see people all the time on sometimes our events, like sorting out accommodation. So I've got a spare seat in a car or something like that, and it's great. It's great for stuff like that. But more bands need more fans like that, I think.
Definitely, yeah.
But it's been. We started in 2012, and it's been like that since. You just that's when you sort of realise how people have to get together to sort of be able to. Like now, where anywhere you go, like Manchester or Glasgow, you all got a community of fans who you already know who are going to be there, and you arrange to meet them.
Yeah,
and that's like kind of like what you were saying before. Like you wouldn't really have that because you'd have your core people, and if we weren't going, you weren't going.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of what it's changed. It's all about community, isn't it?
Well, I remember seeing Dio at Leeds Queen's Hall, and I'd went with a guy from Penrith, and we went down and stayed in Wakefield overnight, and then went to Leeds for that gig. Literally, we were surrounded by, people that we'd never seen before.
Yeah.
You're in a wholly different area, aren't you?
Yeah.
So the possibility of actually running into somebody that you would know was pretty remote back then.
Yeah.
But like now, it just wouldn't bother me at all. But back then, you felt almost a little bit intimidated.
Yeah. You'd be glad if there's someone I know.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, that would have been 85. So,
yeah.
We were like little country mice.
Plus, you were a lot younger then as well, so like it's a bit more daunting, I suppose.
Yeah, most definitely. And that was an interesting venue back then.
Which venue?
It was the Queen's Hall, so it was an old tram shed in Leeds. Pretty major.
How many did that hold?
That must have been a few thousand, well, maybe 3,000-4,000, something like that. But then you had Dio on, I think it was a Sacred Heart tour, so that's when he had Denzel the Dragon.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think it was just around the time that Craig Goldie had taken over the guitar duties as well.
Right.
So your guy from Def Leppard had just left. Mm-hmm. Vivian Campbell.
That's the one.
Yeah. And Craig Goldie had taken the job, and that was a terrific gig. Yeah, they had a band called Keel supporting them.
Not familiar with that.
Not remember the Keel, no. They were good back in the day as well. Yeah. Yeah.
So what other memorable gigs can you think of?
Oh God, so many.
From like back in the day.
Oh, back in the day. Ooh. Saw Gary Moore in 85.
Right.
Yeah, on the Run for Cover tour. That was a really good one. Saw Bon Jovi back before they were like selling the big sheds, if you like. So I saw them at Edinburgh Playhouse.
Those are usually the coolest gigs, aren't you? You see a band before they're massive.
Yeah, definitely. So I mean, they were terrific as well. I think that ticket was round about £4.50.
Yeah, so like when people put those, people keep putting the stubs or their tickets online, and you just see what the prices are. It's just like, wow. Even like, was it Donington 88 when it was like, I think it was Extreme, Dokken, Metallica, Van Halen, and it was like the ticket was like £17 or something.
Yeah, I think my first on it was about £12, and that was '87 with Bon Jovi headline. But if you look at that, we had like Anthrax, we had Metallica.
Yeah,
that was some lineup.
Isn't it weird now how so '87? You're talking what? 5 bands, 6 bands on a day?
7 bands mostly, yeah.
And you'd get 50,000 people, which is like download now. But for now, to get that now, you have to have 3 days of 50 bands.
Yeah. Well, I think when I went to the one in '88, which was the Maiden headliner, that was the biggest recorded crowd that they'd had at Donington at that point, and I think it was still only about £14 a ticket. But then it was only still done on that single day format of around about 6 or 7 bands.
It's crazy.
Whereas now it seems almost they have to put on a whole lot more stages, they have to put on a lot more bands, but are they even getting that capacity of crowd in?
And sometimes you'll spend £200 to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's a lot of money. When some people get hammered and stoned and don't remember a single note.
Yeah, true.
I did that when I first started going to festivals. I remember doing that, but I just started to think, all these bands, I don't even remember.
No.
I've just wasted my time. I could get pissed with my mates at home.
Yeah.
So I started to take it a bit more seriously then, sort of going to ones where the lineup suited me better.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to go spend my money. I'm going to go to that one, and I'm not going to get too drunk.
Yeah, absolutely, and try and remember it.
Because, like I say, some of these bands that might be the last time they play the UK or whatever.
Well, like talking about Quo before, we got to see Quo a couple of years ago on the first part of the reunion tour with the Frantic Four.
All right.
So it was the first time all 4 of those had been back together again in the same room for a very, very long time. I remember talking to a friend of mine and just discussing which show we'd go to. And we thought at that point in time, with Alan Lancaster's health, that it might be a good idea to go to the first show just in case, because you just didn't know how that was going to go. And it turned out being one of the best gigs I've ever been to. You'd put it in your top 10 gigs ever. It was just incredible, the atmosphere. Just seeing the backdrop was enough to make you well up. It was just one of those, and it was a special night.
Yeah.
Again, you think you're going to be in a crowd of 50-somethings that are reliving like old glories, if you like.
Yeah.
And I pretty much hobbled away from that gig. And I was very sore for a few days after that one. So yeah, it was pretty special.
Yeah, just the amount of gigs you've seen is more than your average person.
Yeah, well, yeah. I guess so.
Just like, I don't know. I know some people like there's some people who obviously as well. They go to a lot of gigs. Like every weekend is like dedicated to I'm going to see this band and then I'm going to see this band. It's like it's just incredible, really. How dedicate when they've all got jobs and families as well. It's just like they don't do anything else.
No, but that's pretty much what they do. They probably
music means that much to them.
Don't go down the pub or whatever in the week. They don't.
All the spare cash goes on all that stuff, and that's like they support the bands as well. They always buy their merch, and then they know that that's what the bands need. And
I mean, it's kind of people might look at me and think, oh yeah, he goes to a lot, but I move around a circle of friends that'll maybe go and see one artist sort of 15 to 20 times on a tour.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that'll happen on a regular basis, and it won't just be that band. There'll be several bands that they'll do that with as well. So you just think, there is a good support network out for a lot of these people.
And that's the thing, like with Rockmantic, like people picking out those bands and putting them together.
Yeah.
And then the people will come.
Definitely. And then you link on to somebody, and then suddenly that's the artist that you go and support on their own.
Yeah. What's the best support band you've ever discovered when you went to see the main band?
That's an interesting one. I saw a band supporting Blackberry Smoke. It would be a couple of years ago, I think now, called The Record Company.
Okay.
They were absolutely outstanding. Turned up in a room full of people that were just curious, and then left to like the most ridiculous applause ever. No, they were superb. Really good. Remember seeing Rat back in the day supporting Ozzy. Rat were a superb band back then. God, so many artists. Saw King's X supporting.
Oh, I love King's X.
AC/DC.
Right.
Again, just another one of those artists that's a little bit special.
I only came across them last year, King's X.
Really?
Someone shared a song, like Goldilocks. That
yeah,
song?
yeah.
Have you seen when they do that, where they sing that song and he doesn't sing a single word?
No.
I'll send you the link to it.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening to this, check it out on YouTube. I think it's London 95. I think it's called. Yeah. They start playing the song, and the singer doesn't sing a single word, and the crowd. That's the best singing I've ever heard from a crowd. It sounds like one person.
Yeah.
And he just he goes to sing, and then obviously it must become a thing. It's become a thing now, where he knows that he doesn't have to sing it. But and he's mouthing the words. But I just sometimes I don't watch it. I put it on. I just listen, and it's just like incredible. I've never heard singing by a crowd.
Yeah.
So as one as that.
Yeah.
So I'll send you the link.
I'll check that out.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's really cool. But
just thought of another one as well. Saw Motley Crue when they did the Theatre of Pain tour.
Right.
And they actually played at Newcastle City Hall.
Right. Nice.
Again, that was another cheapy show. It was about £4.55 for a ticket. And they had Cheap Trick supporting them.
Wow.
Now, that was phenomenal.
Were you familiar with Cheap Trick when you went to...
Yes, I was.
Right.
Ish. I'd sort of bought into them a bit because obviously they were so famous back in the late 70s. But
that's a good combination.
That was it was an unusual one, most definitely. But that was quite a night.
Have you ever seen Rush?
Yes, yeah, quite a lot of times. Again, a phenomenal band live.
Just the drummer.
Yeah.
Neil Peart, is it?
That's right, yeah. Saw them back on the Roll the Bones tour the first time. And it was a gig, probably the first gig that I'd been to, that took me days to absorb what I'd just watched.
Yeah.
It felt like that.
Special.
It's a bit of an unusual one as well. They had Primus supporting them.
They're always a good laugh.
Yeah. But then at that point in time, I wasn't really so sure how to take them.
Okay, yeah.
It was
a bit off the wall, aren't they?
That was a bit unusual.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rush were phenomenal, and I saw them from a good bit back that night. So you got to see the whole show. Incredible. And then years later, it was the R30 tour. So on their 30th celebration, if you like.
Yeah.
I saw a couple of nights of that tour. Again, they hadn't been over here for so many years because of various things that had happened in their personal lives. But when they actually did that tour, we thought, right, we'll pick up a couple of nights. So we went to Glasgow and we went to Manchester. Again, it just knocked you out of the box. It was just incredible. The atmosphere was out of this world. So the next tour we did a couple of nights on that tour. The tour after that, I did 3 nights on that tour.
Wow.
And just one after the other. I think that tour in particular, which was the 3 nights, you'd think you'd kind of see everything as it was staged because Rush obviously went through a stage of time where they realised they could understand their own humour, if you like, and it became almost a little bit of a parody thing going on, and the fans bought into it. And you'd think you'd kind of get tired of that, but on that 3rd night, it was still just as fresh as it was the first night. Yeah. Just a superb band.
They are.
Yeah, I think on the last tour I only saw them the one night because again ticket prices were starting to go up and up and up.
I think a lot of when the bands are old, it just seems it's like a cash cow kind of thing.
Yes,
let's just do this tour, put the ticket prices up, and people because it's us, people will pay it.
Yeah,
which
and
it
pretty
is true.
much right, to be fair.
I think AC/DC did a bit of that as well, but people will pay it. So
pay the money.
It's like retirement fund, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, most definitely.
But I often wonder how much money those bands have got, like in the bank, like from past glories. How the bands that have been smart and the bands that have not been smart.
Well, everything's kind of turned around to the point now that they're making money from touring again, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where they're not making it from the recorded product.
Well, no, it hasn't been that way for quite a while now. It used to be the tour to support the album. Now it's the album to support the tour, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Like the big thing is the tour. That's where you make money, merchandise,
so if you're making money
sales.
on that and your merch, then you're on a winner.
Because you're not going to sell many albums.
No.
You'll get a lot of streams, but you're not going to get paid. You don't get paid much for streams. That's the other thing. Like, record sales have been taken out of the equation pretty much, but in their place is streaming. But you don't get paid anywhere near what you should. It should have just been one out, one in. And that, especially now that most people are online and using streaming services, you'd think they'd be able to sort of put the money that they give to artists up a bit.
But who's making the money out of that?
Well, the record companies still, because they own, like, record companies own part of Spotify.
What about the streaming? The streaming companies, obviously, there's revenue pulling back in a big way for them.
I think bands get like 0.02 pence per stream. It's just like...
I do hear like stories of royalty checks and literally a couple of quid at a time, which is crazy.
There is money to be made, but like when there was I've told the story in the podcast before, but there was a story when Metallica resisted going on Spotify for 5 years, I think it was, and when they finally went on, after about, I think it was a month, Enter Sandman had like 25 million or 60 million plays or something like that, and they got a check for 25 grand.
Yeah.
Which is nothing to them, and it's nothing for that amount of plays.
No.
Scale that down to our size. If we get like 600 plays, we're going to get a check for 25 pence.
Yeah. It's just crazy, isn't it?
It's just like you can't even count that as a revenue income anymore.
If you kind of look at Metallica as being the one that kind of bucked against the trend, really, didn't they?
Yeah.
And obviously, when Napster was around, like Lars was totally against that whole setup, and that was just kind of ridiculous, probably, because if they'd embraced it at that point, it was probably worth a whole lot more money.
In a way, what they would do, they did it for the right reason. They saw what was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
They said, this all is going to get taken out of our hands if we just let it go as it is, and that is what's happened. But people just saw it as them trying to be money. Well, they've got so much money, they don't have to. It's not about money, is it? They just knew what was going to happen, and it was like it worried them. Like I think it was, what song was it? I Disappear.
Yeah,
they were doing that, and a version of it appeared on social media.
Yeah,
on like file sharing, and that's when it came to their attention. Like, how, what?
Yeah.
So, but no one's getting paid for that. It's going out. It's like movies as well. People just illegally downloading movies. Like the studios then are losing out on millions. So it's kind of like it needs to be rectified somewhere. But now, most people are streaming music, so that's how they get it. So the users are there. So there should be at some point you say, okay, let's turn up the revenue a bit to the artists.
Yeah, most definitely.
Because like bands like us and Massive Wagons and all them, we're registered on those streaming services and we get the money, but it's not. It's just not worth it. It's not. Yeah. You pretty much have to be there just for awareness, for someone to discover you, and then hopefully they're going to see you live.
Yeah, or they're going to go on your website and pick up your album and actually pay for it.
Buy it that way. Yeah. But it's just I hope eventually it comes back up to sort of being some legitimate revenue stream to go with everything else that you do, because otherwise it's just going to be just such a struggle. It's just like
it is,
and it's not something that it's something that younger people might not think, oh, I'm not going to do that.
No.
I mean, it's not necessarily wanting to do it just to make money, but if you can't make money just to like sustain it, keep it going, it might put some people off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're saying, it's all about exposure at the moment, isn't it? And it's all about
you have to be there anyway,
being in the public eye, if you like. So, however that might be done, it's no bad thing, but it's got to bring you something out of it.
In a way, it's good, like for your perspective, because if bands are doing it and they're surviving, the only way they can do that is to be good live.
Yeah,
obviously, you good CD, but then good live and be friendly and approachable, and that's all you've got to rely on. So it's kind of forced bands to be good in that way, hasn't it? Whereas before, you could kind of hide behind smoke and mirrors and imagery and wear sunglasses to gigs, and you know what I mean. And then you didn't have to make an appearance if you didn't want to. Just try and be mysterious. But now you have to be contactable and approachable, don't you? It's part of the. It's changed.
I mean, back in the day, it used to be a bit of a struggle to meet people, but obviously now
you've never seemed to have any trouble like that.
No,
you've met so many.
There's a few tricky ones out there, though.
Yeah, but you every gig you seem to meet someone, like from the small, medium ones up to the more bigger gigs. You always seem to manage to meet someone.
Kind of get your radar on when you're out and about as well, don't you?
Yeah, you develop the sixth sense. Yeah. Someone's going to come out of that door in a minute. I'm going over there.
Yeah.
Because you've got what's that Facebook page you've got? The Furness Finger.
I had the Furness Finger for a bit. Yeah, it's not there any longer.
Oh, is it not?
No.
I enjoyed that. Yeah. I was waiting for more archives to come back of you.
It was too much pressure, man. I wasn't enjoying.
We'll have to get one after this. We'll get a photo after this.
Yeah, totally.
But you just seem to, I don't know. Have you? Is that something you've just always done?
Yeah, I kind of always got a little bit of a kick out of meeting people. It was kind of funny going back to the Magnum gig. Just so happened we were all up in Edinburgh at that point, so I was up with my family, but went to the gig and they happened to be doing a signing, and I can't recall whether it was HMV or Virgin at the time on Princes Street.
Right.
But I got to meet them that day, and I got them to sign the Chase the Dragon album that I'd bought in Woolies across the road. Right. And that was the beginnings of it. And back then, obviously, you just had like a disposable camera to get a picture. Not even sure where those pictures are anymore. But
or if you wouldn't at the time know if it was a good picture.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Top of your head cut off.
Totally. I mean, obviously, like even fast forwarding that to meeting like the Metallica guys at the big day out in Milton Keynes. Didn't know that was going to happen that day. So obviously,
was that the '93 one or the '99 one?
Oh, Garage Revisited, whatever that one was.
That'd be 19. What?
Probably the earlier one rather than the later one.
Yeah. So you're talking late 80s, was it?
No, it would have been 90s, I would say.
Oh, was it Megadeth on it as well?
Could have been.
Because I think it was 93. That was
Pantera were on there as well.
I think it was 93.
Yeah.
Because I remember that show being broadcast on Radio 1.
Yeah.
And they were told not to swear. And then James Hetfield comes out and goes, "Fuck yeah, motherfuckers!"
That was a sweet cake. But I only found out that day that I'd got a pass to go and meet the guys. So I had to find a stall somewhere that was selling like a disposable camera.
Right.
So literally the same thing again. Took a load of pictures. Didn't really know for about another week or so until anything had come out.
Yeah,
you're just kind of relieved when something came through and it was actually something you could keep hold of.
The thought today of taking a whole load of pictures on a camera and then handing it in to someone and then waiting a week to find out what they look like.
Yeah, now you want it there to upload onto social media
phones.
Right then and there. Yeah.
Phones. Have you got the Galaxy S6?
Yeah, just an S6,
I've got the S7. It's just like...
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yeah.
I don't even... Like, mine's got like a automatic setting where you just point a click and it just auto-adjusts to whatever you're taking. Low light, high light, moving. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's great for gigs, though.
Oh, the quality's good.
I mean,
it's more about that for me than anything else now.
I remember I saw you at a gig. I can't remember where it was. I think it was in Workington or something.
Right, yeah.
And you were showing me pictures that you... I could see you taking photos, and I was looking at your camera going, wow.
Yeah, the quality's pretty good, even then when you blow it up onto a bigger screen.
Yeah, it doesn't lose the quality.
No.
But that's the other issue. Is like I try not to... I take photos at the beginning usually.
Yeah.
Of the set. I might take a quick video and then I put my phone away and I try to enjoy it. There's always like, especially at the bigger shows, someone's like a massive like iPad.
Yeah. No, it gets a bit much. Yeah.
You're thinking, wow. But some of the artists get pissed off at it as well. There's always various people like, I can't remember who it was. Someone threw some water at someone or something like that because they were getting pissed off because they were obviously doing the whole gig.
Yeah.
And it's just like, there's a screen there. Why don't you just watch that if you want to watch a screen?
A bit too far. Yeah.
But people live to take their cameras on like a stick.
Yeah.
And they just hold it.
Yeah.
All set. Like, this is going to look great.
I remember there was a thing. Adele a while ago was like swearing at some woman. Just because she was she was at the side with an iPad and she was filming. She was like, "Look, if you wanted, we can film it on a shitty camera and give it to the end. Just enjoy the fucking show."
Yeah.
I was like, "Good point, fair enough." We don't want to mess with her. But that's the world we live in today, innit? Technology.
Definitely.
It's good and it's bad.
Yeah, definitely has its bad points as well.
People relying on it as well, but it's the same like with. Like we were saying before about recording music, relying too much on technology. Like back in the day, if like you do a take and then if it was wrong, you do it again.
Yeah.
Or how about just going really practicing before you come in?
Yeah. Yeah, it would never been about Pro Tools, would it?
No,
It wouldn't have been cutting and pasting anything.
A bit more relaxed because I'll just get one good take and we'll just cut and paste it. It's like no, you'll do it right all the way through.
Yeah. Because it's just on this tape.
Yeah.
And
you've got this go and that's it. And then some guy will sit and cut the tape together. I'd love to do it. I'd love to record
something
an album like
special about that.
Analog. I like the Foo Fighters album when they did that. The sound, really did come through, the warmth on that. I couldn't, because it had been so long ago since I'd heard a proper good analog one. I wasn't sure if a band of today could use old technology and make it sound like it used to. But
I know what you mean.
They did pull it off.
But it's very difficult to even decipher it as a listener as well, isn't it? It's like,
well, you've got to know what you're listening for.
What am I listening for?
Yeah. I suppose your average listener wouldn't be able to know the difference, but I definitely noticed a warmth in it, and it seemed a bit more human to it, not as a robotic. No cut and pastes, a few little glitches here and there, which lets you know that they've done it.
We were talking earlier about compression. It's the same thing, kind of, isn't it? There's a wholly different sound to anything that's not. Yeah,
because even doing it analog, there's still the post-processing and the mixing and the mastering that can take some of that away.
Yeah.
By making it all, compressing it or maximising it
too big.
Yeah, making it too loud or clicky. But they seem to pull it off. I hope it would be nice if there was that was an option. Do you want to do this album digital or do you want to do it analog?
Yeah.
Rather than analog being because it's expensive to do it that way because it's like a niche sort of market now.
It is.
And Pro Tools is just so easy. But I mean, we do Pro Tools for demos.
Yeah.
And then go to the studio and do it properly.
Yeah.
But it's a lost art, really.
But then I suppose you want to iron out the kinks before you go and spend the real money. Don't you?
That's the other thing of doing it not writing songs just before you go in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
You should be writing them like a year before.
Yeah,
gigging with them.
It's not like the 80s where they're just booked out for like 6 months. And
write songs in the studio sometimes. It's like, that would be nice. Mm-hmm. But I also think it's nice to play some songs live for a while and tweak them as you go along and listen back to them and say, nah, I don't like that. Let's try something else. But I don't think a lot of bands do that because it's time and money.
Yeah.
It's always tight. And it depends where you're recording it, like. But
the more time you've got with something, though, obviously you're going to be a bit more satisfied with it, aren't you?
Well, I suppose you don't. It's a double-edged sword because you don't want too much time with it. Because when is a song done? You could end up start making the song worse.
It's like any piece of art, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like when we do demos. We do like if we make changes, we'll keep that old original version and call that version 2.
Yeah.
And then if we do version 3, because sometimes you get to like version 5 and you go, I preferred version 1 and 2 actually.
Yeah,
We've changed some things there we shouldn't have. But it's all about practices and that. How long have we been going for, Liam?
Hour and a bit.
Hour and a bit. It's just flown by.
Talking about that, actually, I think it was reading something about Stephen Wilson, from Porcupine Tree.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously he's become more and more successful as the years have gone on, and even ditching Porcupine Tree's had no detrimental effect to his career. When they were recording The Raven that Refused to Sing, he's got Guthrie Govan on guitar. And he wasn't particularly happy with the first take on this song that they did. Right. I think it was a solo that they did on Drive Home. And Stephen Wilson just totally insisted on his first take being the take that actually made the record.
Wow.
And when you listen to that, that's a pretty incredible piece of work.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if you're so familiar with his work, but he's an incredible guitar player, yeah.
It's a ballsy move.
Yeah, just a bit.
It's like Freddie Mercury and like Dio like that. They just do not many takes.
No.
Like when Dio did the song with Tenacious D.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the song was called. Is it Kickapoo?
Yeah.
I think it was Kickapoo. And they've got the behind the scenes DVD, which I've got.
Yeah.
But I recorded the music to it. He just came in, did one take, and then went.
Yeah.
But he didn't went, but he did the one take, and he just nailed it. Like, because you see, like, obviously he'd been rehearsing it. He knew the words.
Yeah.
He just come in, put his headphones on, and he just. It was just the voice was just there. He just has it, just like
it's just amazing artist.
They were just
somebody that I never got to meet, but it's something special.
Yeah, just natural. It's just there. It's just it doesn't have to. Didn't really. It wasn't really one for warming up much either. Didn't have to. Just
he had it
there.
He had it all.
So I was just going back to you meeting famous people. There's loads. I remember seeing loads of.
There's people that I never got pictures with as well, and it's kind of
the ones that got away.
Yeah. I remember meeting Coverdale back in the day when he played at Edinburgh Playhouse.
All right.
And I managed to come my way onto his tour bus, only because I was shouting the loudest, and he noticed me, so he shouted me over, so I got on there and had a conversation with him. And he signed a few things, and it's like we never got that picture, and it's like that's still a bit of a regret, but. Yeah, there's a lot of people, I guess. What
you must have developed? Have you developed little things of how you know where people are going to be, or?
Yeah, that does happen quite a lot now actually, because you kind of get to knowing people's
how they
habits.
work. Yeah,
most definitely.
Some of it'll be luck, but
yeah, a lot of it is. But then there's a lot of people out there that are way more on the game than I am. You think you're a bit of a professional stalker, but you're not even.
Professional stalker, I like that. That's a good way to call it.
There's a whole lot more of them out there, believe me. There really is.
But yeah, so. Go on, rattle some off. Who have you met?
Oh, God, the guys from Dream Theatre. Met all of them
I remember
times,
you were massive into Dream Theatre at one point, weren't you?
Yeah, that was probably one of my first experiences where you're like chasing around a city in a car looking for people. But that paid off in the end, so yeah. Obviously, you've got your White Snakes, so you've got countless bands. It's difficult kind of when you're put on the spot to think about it, but like there's a lot of artists out there.
Yeah. Because I remember you had a book. I remember you showed me once you had a book of all the different people that you've met. Yeah.
I mean, it got to be like a bit of obsession a few years ago where I was meeting guitar players. So it's like your Paul Gilberts, your Satrianis, met Vi countless times, and pretty much every time he's the most gracious guy you could ever wish to meet. And he's got just no edge to him whatsoever when you're having a conversation with him, which is in itself a little bit bizarre.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of winding yourself up to that moment in time. Not all of them were just chance meetings.
Right.
So several times I've had passes to actually stay in the venue after the show and have a conversation with him, and it's like you're building, the anticipation's ridiculous. By the time he actually walks out the door, it's like you're in a puddle already.
That's when you hope that they're nice and like
most
some people
definitely
put you at ease. When you meet them, they're not like some kind of, they're not God, they're just a person.
For sure.
But you kind of build that up yourself, don't you, before you meet them?
Yeah, the last time I actually met him, though, it's like the only time I've actually paid to spend some time. And it was doing the Evo experience, which was watching the sound check. It was doing the questions and answers. Got to hold one of the Evo guitars, which was something in itself. But sitting in a room with around 30 other people where we were asking questions, it took around 10 or 15 minutes to answer my question.
Right.
And to have that amount of time,
Someone's
when there were so many other people like looking for his attention, was pretty special.
The thing is, I think they like it. You must have asked a good question then.
Yeah.
I think because you didn't. I imagine they'll just get asked the same questions all the time.
Yeah, constantly.
But you must have asked something a little bit different.
I think it was. I wanted to know what was the biggest challenge that he'd had musically.
I see. Yeah.
And it was to develop and write a piece of music for the Japanese Philharmonic Orchestra. And it was a really disturbing piece of music. You think of orchestral pieces of music as being pleasant to listen to, but he was telling me that it was a very disturbing piece of music.
All right.
And he'd really struggled to come up with anything that actually worked.
Right.
And then he actually got to play it out there live.
Wow.
But it was such a complex piece of work that he had to have the notation in front of him as he was playing it. Half the way through the performance, the notation actually slipped off the stage in front of him. And while they were fumbling around trying to get it back for him, he carried on playing, and he was so worried about not being able to do what he needed to do. But in the end, it all came about, and it was just perfect. But he said if you ever kind of track it down, he said it's not something that you'd find even comfortable listening to.
All right. Does it sound challenging?
It does. Yeah, most definitely. It was he just described it as noise. So for somebody that's so tuned into music to call it that was like something unusual in itself.
So you must have seen some pretty special, like not just gigs that were special for you, but you managed to go to the gigs that were special for that band as well, like a anniversary show or a album. When they play the albums in full and stuff like that. There's been a few of them. I mean the likes of Dream Theater when they did Images and Words on the 15th anniversary. That was pretty special. I like when bands do things like that. Yeah, because then you're going to get to hear them play a song off the album that they probably wouldn't have chosen to play.
That's
live.
Totally right. Yeah,
and everyone wants to hear that, don't they? Mm-hmm. I was just a bit disappointed sometimes when bands get the fans to choose the set list, and like the top 5 songs are the songs that they always play. Yeah, and you're thinking this is your one chance to get them to play something that you've never heard them play.
Something
totally
very
rare.
Random. Yeah, and it's the obvious one.
Yeah, I often thought that when I used to listen to commercial radio, when they have request shows, but you'd get people ringing up requesting something that's already out in the charts and already been played 20 times that day. It's like, I'm not so sure. Did they just make that up? So there's an excuse to play that song.
Are they the people that are in their own heads, the music fans? Yeah. Are they the dedicated people that are, it makes you wonder again, doesn't it?
Or those when the bands are doing requests, are they thinking, well, that song's easy, so I'll make sure that one's in there. Yeah. Then we'll play a couple of more difficult ones.
Yeah, they don't want too much of a challenge.
Yeah, especially if they're older.
Yeah.
Because people were like comparing. I remember people were comparing Metallica to Rolling Stones, but Rolling Stones are like they're 70 now.
Yeah.
But they're not playing like Battery and Damaging and
no, it's an entirely different game.
I can't see Metallica going that long when they're that old. Cause if you can't do it,
even
Lars is struggling now. I think.
Yeah. I think he's been struggling for a while.
Well, yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I think Kirk has as well. To be honest,
yeah.
It's sloppy sometimes.
Yeah,
it's not.
He's not as on the money as he was it? No.
I'm glad I've seen them when I saw them. One of those bands.
I think it's like you were saying. It's like that whole having a management process, having those people pushing you. When they brought out the Black Album, it maybe divides some people, but when you actually listen to that and some of the playing on that, especially from Kirk, I thought that was a superb album to listen to.
Some of the solos are phenomenal.
Yeah. I remember watching the whole process on the year and a half videos, right, back in the day. And, his solo for The Struggle Within He was bitching about that like ridiculously because he was being pushed and pushed and pushed, wasn't he?
Because he'd come up with something completely different. They didn't like it.
He did.
They said, come up with something better.
But when he did that, and he did it in the take that he did in the studio, that was some piece of work, I thought.
He really got the best out of it. That's Bob Rock pushing buttons and getting the
most
best
definitely.
out of people.
Maybe he lost the plot along the way, but he certainly had it at that point.
I have to say that about Axis Studios, where we go, where Massive Wagons goes. Well, Matt Ellis, the guy there, he really knows his stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't take him long. I think we've been there 3 times now. It didn't take him long to sort of figure us out and just, cut past all the bullshit and just say, like, go.
Yeah.
And it's like a huge learning curve, because I'd never been in a studio before then. I don't know if Kev had or not, but it was my first experience of just like the lights on.
Do you not think that you can hear it in the production of some music that comes out?
Oh,
as well?
yeah, definitely.
Say, like those people that are pushed.
Yeah.
Or the people, the engineers that actually get a handle on where they're going with things as well. You can tell the difference in the production in a big way.
It's massive, because it's like all about how your mentality and how you're feeling at the time. And if you do need a bit of pressure. You need a bit of. You don't want to be too relaxed, because it's not going to come out on the recording.
You've got to have a challenge there.
You got to have a bit of anxiety.
Yeah.
How's this going to go? But it helps, comes out. Same when you're playing live as well.
Yeah.
If you're not at least a little bit nervous, something's not right. You can't just go, no, I'm not nervous at all. I don't care what happens. You should care what happens.
You should, most definitely.
Yeah. Or you should care if they're having a good time or not. It's like there's always that challenge of like, there's always going to be some people stood there like this. Because they've come to see another band or whatever, and then by the end of it, you see they're starting to move.
I think that's the thing, though. Like, I would go to gigs with that preconceived idea of watching that main band or whatever, and whoever else was supporting. Fair enough. Occasionally, you got into them, but more often than not, way back, it was like it was that main artist that you went to see.
Yeah.
Whereas now, I'm a whole lot more open to the people that I go and watch.
Well, sometimes it's just like you could swap the bands around anyway. They all could be headlining.
Absolutely.
And you'd get the same show.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes it's good to sometimes not be headlining and have these other bands who are a similar level to you to sort of like say everyone's on their game, because everyone wants to steal the show, don't they?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You'd
expect it to just take that level of momentum up and up as you're going along.
Yeah. Like going back to the Mason Hill and Massive Wagons, that's just like both of them. You could have swapped either of them around either way.
You could. Most definitely.
It wouldn't have really made any difference.
It wouldn't have made.
Only just the fact that it was a hometown show for Mason Hill, so that made sense. But you could have took that around the country, keep swapping them around, and it wouldn't make any difference.
No, not at all. Because as a package, you would have looked at it as a package. And
I'm surprised they might do that. Because that would be a good one.
It would, most definitely.
Especially for £8.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe you probably had another band in as an opening band.
Mm-hmm. Quite easily, I
value
think.
For money.
You know, if it wasn't for curfews in the likes of the Cat House and that in Glasgow, I think you'd have probably had that happen.
Was it an early one?
I think it was around about 10 past 10 or so, something like that.
Early, that, isn't it?
You know, considering the area as well, which is a mainly sort of city centre sort of location,
you would think
it's not really a residential part of town.
No. But it is a good venue, but I'm surprised by the early curfew.
Yeah.
You'd think bands... I mean, the Brickyard, was it 12 usually?
Yeah, that was... Well, for Rockmantic, it was midnight, wasn't it?
I think it usually is, and that's... Yeah. Perfect. If you're in a city of some sort, you shouldn't really be needing to... No. Everyone's either getting the train or the bus, or they've booked a hotel, or...
Yeah.
No need to finish early. And especially with so many bands on.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what are some of your favourite venues in this country?
Oh, in this country, they range from all the local ones through to some of the bigger venues.
Well, go from some of the smaller ones.
Right, what are local ones? Obviously, the Brickyard's a good one in Carlisle. Yeah. I think that's always been a favourite.
Yeah.
Love Bootleggers in Kendal.
Yes. That's like, to me, it's like a slightly smaller Brickyard.
It is.
A similar kind of the acoustics in there and the setup of it.
I think the way it's done, though, and Chris the sound guy's just so clued up.
He knows his stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to get him.
Jonty's a great guy as well, to be fair.
I'm going to get Chris Edgar on the podcast, because
he should come in and have a look. He'll have plenty to say as well.
Oh, definitely,
for sure,
yeah.
No, he's a really great guy, and the venues, it's so very well supported as well.
It is. Yeah, I love it.
Jonty's a good guy, and more than anything, is a music lover and is a player as well. You know, a musician in his own right as well, so he's got a love for the whole thing.
Yeah.
But that's a great venue.
Yeah.
Locally, I would say those are my favourite venues. Sort of some of the bigger ones. I love a lot of the academies are really good.
Yeah.
Newcastle Academy is a good one. I like the Ritz in Manchester.
Oh, the Ritz is brilliant.
Probably up and around our neck of the woods, the ABC in Glasgow on Sauchiehall Street.
Yeah, so
it's one of my very favourites.
Yeah. That's quite small, and it's not that big, really, is it?
Maybe what holds about 1,500 or so. But it's a really good room, and sound-wise, it's superb.
Yeah.
Sort of further down the way there, you've obviously got your academies in Manchester and the Ritz,
that's
so they're all good ones.
Sound Control, even that one?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like
that's a tight little venue.
Yeah.
The Roadhouse was good in Manchester as well when it was still around. I don't know if that's still there, but
I don't think it is.
It was kind of one of those venues, if you weren't at the front, you were nowhere because it was so tight.
Yeah, have you been to Satan's Hollow in Manchester?
No.
That's good. It's like it's circular.
Yeah.
And the stage is in the middle.
All right, yeah.
So, but they kind of got a backdrop on it, so there is a front. Otherwise, you would just be like, it would be nice if it rotated. That would have been good. But we were headlining a show. Actually, we were headlining. Massive Wagons were main support, and it was like a dual thing at the Roadhouse as well.
Yeah,
2 days. It was like Friday and Saturday. So we were like going to watch a band because we got there early as we could. Watch a band there, and then go down to the Roadhouse, watch another band, then come back.
Yeah,
then go and get my phone, then play, and then go and watch another band.
Great.
It's just like because it wasn't that far, so it was like. That'll never be repeated.
Over in the northeast as well, the Clooney over in Newcastle, that's a really great venue.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Again, because it's got a couple of different rooms there as well.
Yeah.
See quite a lot of stuff upstairs there, but I've saw the likes of Driving and Crying downstairs in the smaller room. Saw Scotty Ian do his speaking words to her there as well.
Yeah, that did look really good.
Which was something special.
That man can tell some stories.
He can. Most definitely.
He's very found his vocation there, isn't he?
And again, it was one of those few ones that I paid for, like the VIP upgrade.
Yeah.
But that was just ridiculous. We were around after the audience went, and I think he spent about another hour and a half to 2 hours with us.
Wow.
So I was getting home just as it was almost daylight kind of thing. Because
but totally worth it.
Oh, yeah. And the guy can really tell stories.
Oh,
just there's no edge to him whatsoever. He's just a brilliant guy.
Yeah. Did he ever release that on DVD?
Yes, it came out. He recorded the next night, actually. He did Newcastle one evening and he played in Glasgow the night after.
Right.
I think it might have been at Audio, possibly, in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Just off Argyle Street.
It's on my list. I'm going to buy that.
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty special.
What, Trillions? You like Trillions?
Yeah, Trillions.
Trillions is a good one.
Yeah, good little venue as well.
Yeah,
that was one of my favourite shows of last year when Ginger Wildheart did that one.
Yeah.
With the main Grains and Ryan. Yeah.
Main Grains are good. We've played with them.
Yeah, superb. Yeah, Danny's band are just fantastic. Yeah.
They all like their thrash metal.
They do, most definitely. But that was the one that I sort of discovered Ryan Hamilton at. So again, it was a really cheap gig, but you look at what you get out of a show like that, and it was a lot. It was mental at the end as well, just crazy. Danny got on stage with them, and they did a few songs at the end, and the whole place was just dripping off the walls.
Think Tank, you been to that one? Newcastle?
Yeah, I've done Think Tank. Yeah, I saw a guy from Mr. Big there.
Oh, I know what you mean. I don't know his name, but I know what you mean.
Eric Martin.
That's the one.
Yeah, that was a fantastic show.
I think last time we played there with Municipal Waste.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just mental.
Can believe it. There's not much of a riser there for the stage, is there? No. So basically, you're at one with the audience.
Yeah, there's people on and off the stage.
Yeah.
Nuts.
I can believe it. It's a little bit disorganised, but fun.
Because it was like the day after they'd played Download. They were playing with us. It's just I remember talking to them backstage. It's just like bit of a step down. And he's like, they're all good. If there's people there, it's all good.
I think Riverside's another good one in Newcastle.
I've not been to that one.
Have you not?
No.
I saw Lacuna Coil there recently. That was a really good show.
Right.
And then last year I saw Udo from Accent there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he did a gig there with Anvil. And that was another momentous gig, to say the least.
Cool.
At one stage, I think I was on the barrier watching the support act before Anvil, and Lips from Anvil came and stood with me on the barrier. And it's one of those moments where you pinch yourself and think, got a copy of Kerrang from about 1980-81 with you on it, and you stood next to me. It was like, it's just weird.
Wow.
And then, fast forward, you're kind of friends with these people, and you sort of, you have conversations with them as they go along, and it's all good. Yeah,
like I've got to know Mike Harshaw, the former drummer of Annihilate. I just met him at a gig, and then I was messaging him, and then he got the CD, and then just been talking ever since then. He's going to come on the podcast at some point.
It's superb.
When you meet
that's
people
why
like
social media is so good.
Yeah, there wouldn't be an option otherwise.
No. Can you imagine waiting for a letter in the post about that? Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen.
No. That'd be like waiting for your Metallica membership to come through, wouldn't it? It'd be like, oh my God.
But in a way, like, that's part of why bands had such mystique back in the day, because there was no opportunities to see them or know anything about them.
There was not, no.
So it has kind of affected it in that way. Like, you can know everything about everyone. Even the medium-sized bands.
Oh, yeah.
They're all on social media, so you can see what they had for breakfast on Instagram.
Kind of, like, pretty much instantly, if I see a lineup come up and I don't recognise some of the names, I'll just be on there to find out what's going on. Yeah, and it doesn't take so long.
No. I mean, that's good in the way that you can hear their music and work out if you're going to like bands.
Most definitely.
Or if, like, you were working out if you want to go to this gig, because I like that band, but I don't really know any of these.
Yeah, yeah.
If you discovered that, these guys are really good, I'm going to go to that.
That's kind of what I find with Hard Rock Hell. It's like, we've got the splits for this week's gigs already. Yeah. So from Thursday through Saturday, we've got 3 days worth of music. But obviously, there's always a handful of bands there that you've never really heard of.
Yeah.
Instantly, I've got a few of those on my list of people that I want to go and watch. I mean, like Tequila Mockingbird have been around a little while, but I wasn't familiar with any of the music. Obviously, they're out touring with Bonafide at the moment as well. Yeah. But I think they're one of the earlier bands in the Days on one of the days. That's a definite one that I want to go and check out.
Is there many clashes?
Not so many, actually. It's not too bad this year. But then it depends what you want to go and watch, because obviously I go down with a group of people, but because we're all staying at one accommodation, it's not so bad, and nobody's so offended if you're not with them, if you like.
Yeah. Because you've probably got the most eclectic taste in music I think I've known.
Well, it didn't set off that way.
No.
But then I think as you get a little bit older, you get more open to different things, don't you?
Because you like prog and everything, don't you?
Yeah.
As well as metal.
I like a little bit of country as well.
Yeah.
I love some classical music.
That's quite often like what you're saying about bootleggers. They put a lot of good variety of stuff on there, don't they?
I mean, we would go and watch a lot of bands from out of Nashville, really. Yeah. So, and more often than not, a few of the regulars always will play at Bootleggers. Yeah. That's one of the favourite places. Also, the Cluny at Newcastle. Yeah, because I've often seen like a band or an artist will be coming through and they'll play in some fairly big venues, but then they'll go to some of their bootleggers because there's just a reputation, and it's a cool venue. Definitely, but there are a few more of those that I need to explore as well. There's another venue at Sheffield that's meant to be really good. There's a few around Nottingham and Leicester that are really good. So it's kind of just time and money that'll take you there eventually. Or hopefully, like you know someone and they say, "Oh yeah, it's brilliant. I'm going to this. You can come with me," or something like that. Definitely, yeah. I mean, I go and watch Dan Baird, that used to be the frontman of the Georgia Satellites. Right. So his band Dan and the Homemade Sin, fantastic band, and I've seen them so many times over these last few years. Way back, I might not have listened to that kind of music because it would have been a bit more crossover for me. Yeah. But there's so much more to be had from having an open mind when you go and listen to stuff. Yeah. That's why I like when we play gigs. Sometimes we get put with bands who you wouldn't think, like, why are we playing with them? But I'm glad we are. Yeah. I don't like gigs even going to gigs where all the bands are pretty similar. No. It gets a bit... Too much repetition's not all that great, is it? It's just... I thought that was a great thing about Rockmatic a few weeks back. Variety. In the sense that you had a bit of punk there, you had all kinds of stuff really, wasn't there? But it all worked really well together. It's just about picking the right bands as well, they can all do their thing, and it all just works. It does, yeah. And people I think like the Sleaze artists as well that they had sort of sitting alongside a lot of you guys as well. Yeah. They all worked really, really well. Everyone does their thing, and it just works. It does, and it doesn't. People aren't put off by the fact that there's a bit of variety. I think they kind of that's in the end that's what it's attractive about it. I think it is, yeah, because you could be in danger of putting too many similar bands on. At least the bands that are similar, you spread them out. You've got a couple of days. You could put one on and then have another couple of bands and then put them Absolutely. After that. I've noticed for last year is sort of increased the time on the Friday as well. So obviously that's going to bring up a few more options in terms of what they do with the lineup. If he's going to sell the tickets, then that gives you the freedom to push that a bit, because then you're getting more value for money as well, aren't you? Of course, yeah. Was it 5 bands on the Friday? I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah. 5 or 6. No, it might have been 6. I think somewhere around. Did you get there for the whole of the Saturday then? I was there for all of the Saturday. Yeah. I just remember looking. I mean, we didn't get there till later on, but it's just a cracking lineup. Like the variety was spot really on. Good. Because you could have them too much variety, whereas 2 different. Yes. But
that was just
not
right.
so diverse.
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't need to be your Leeds and your Readings and your this and that.
Yeah,
does it? It doesn't need to go that far.
You've ever been to Leeds and Reading?
Yeah,
Festival?
done the festivals. Yeah,
back in the early 2000s, I used to go to them.
Yeah. I remember doing Reading when Metallica headlined.
Oh right, yeah.
That was a good one. But then obviously it's maybe a bit too eclectic for me now.
Well, it's gone a bit. I don't know. It's not the same. It's not.
No.
There's hardly any rock or metal.
No,
on it
not
now,
really.
So it's kind of.
It's not as represented when you look at its heritage as well, and it was way more of a rock festival back in the day. It's like
I remember seeing like Chili's and Foo Fighters and
all
sorts of bands like that, but they don't. I mean, you get